How to automate lead follow-up. I'm going to show you in this video how you can automate your lead follow-up, and we do this with make.com. To start with this, I'm going to my community, import it into Make. We go to the buttons, import blueprint, choose file, leads follow-up 1, and now we're going to start with this scenario. What we need for this scenario is we need a Google form and an Airtable. Airtable is also a free plan and Google Forms is free, and we can also use another program for form, but for this example I'm going to choose Google Form. In Google Form we're going to make a simple form and we're going to fill it out if we had a inquiry with a customer, a meeting. So we're going to Google Form. And when we are in the Google Form, we can click on the plus sign and we can make a new form. So we make the form, we choose the name. So I will change this to lead. And now I must change the question, so I can change it here to short answer. Now I want to add another one and I click here on the plus sign. And now it's email address. Okay, so now I have the name from the customer, I have a form name, lead, and I have the email address. And now the only thing we need to do is we publish it. So we click on the publish button. Now we click on this button and we choose to copy the link. So I choose this one, copy, save. Now I'm going to open this. And now we have our form, and now we can fill out the form. We're going to copy this because we need it in make.com. So we're going to our scenario make, and we need our customer information. And now we're going to open a module. We'll fill in the code, click on search, and we click on the form we want, and we click to save. Another module we need is Airtable, because what we're going to do in Airtable, here's the example. We're going to fill in a name, the email. This will happen automatically, and then we get this to change in yes, and if we send a follow-up, it's also changed to yes. So this is what we're going to set up in Airtable. Just for now I'm going to Airtable and I'm going to show you how we're going to make this. We need a new base, so I'm going to create a base and I start from scratch, and now you see we have a base. So I call this lead 1 example. We need name, and we need to change everything what we see here in the top header. So now we're going back to our example, and we see we have name, email sent, and follow up. And if we click on the name, we're gonna see that we're going to change a lot of things. We can change here in Airtable, but most of the fields we use is single text. So if you change it, this must be on single text for now. So we change it to single text, and the only thing what's not single text is the email module, but the rest is all single text. So that's what we're going to do in our Airtable, and we're going to give it a name, and we're going to give the tab a name, or a base we're going to give the name. So we're going back to our lead 1 example. I double click and I give this the name lead 1 example. I'm going to save it, and now we're going to name, email sent, follow up. So this is email, and we change this to email. We can do this by scrolling, or we can type here email. That's a lot easier. And we click on save. So we click here, email sent. We're going to change this to single line text. We're going to save this and follow up, and it's already on single text. So now this is the part we need for our Airtable, but we also need to connect it, and I'm going to show you how you can do this, because we need the connection between Airtable and Make, so we must allow Make to connect with this base. So we're going back to Make so I can show you how you can do this. So we go into Airtable, we click on the module, go into Add, choose Connection Type and choose Airtable or Out and give it a name. I give the name Example 1 and now I click on Save. When I click on Save, there's opening another window, but you don't see it because this is the recording. But the only thing you must do, you have to see a plus sign with app base. You click on the sign, then you scroll to the base you want. In my case, it's lead 1 example, and then you click on the big blue button grant access. When you do this, it's loading the base and it's making the connection between Airtable and make.com. And then you see verifying connection. And now Airtable is connected with make.com. Now we need to change the base. In my example, I need to change the base. If you start a new scenario, you must type in your base. I choose lead 1 example. Now it's loading and we must wait because we need the records. So now we refresh this one and now we choose also lead 1 example 1 because that is this one. And when it's working, we see every field we have, every record. We have name, email, email sent, follow up. So in this case, this is working. So I save it. And now we're going to map the Google Form information to our Airtable base. So I unlink this one. And now I'm going to fill in the form for the Google form. I will send it. Now go back to Make. I've sent the information to the form and now I'm going to run the scenario once. Now we will get the customer information and we have it here in the answers. I will see what I have, the text answers. And I will have value Jeroen. Email jeroenschuivel@live.nl. So I'm going to click on the module again. I'm going to search for my name, so the answers. And we're going to go to the bottom. Oh, that was the right one, wrong one. And now I click here and I see value, so the name. I click on value and now we do the same for email. So I'm going to open this one, click on the arrow, and now we see the email and now we click to add value. This is what we want to do and now we save it and now we have saved our module. Now we're going to connect it to our email module in Google and we do the same thing as we did before because we want the email address, so we need the email like we did here. Form, we want the subject, so in the subject we ask for the name. So this is my message and it's a short example message, but I hope you get a clear message of how this is working. So I say, dear Jeroen, thanks for wanting to know more about our services. And here we can map it dynamically or with text, but for now I only have our services ... So this is set up. Now I can save this and now we can run this and see if we get the mail and if we get the information in our Airtable base, because now at the moment this is empty, but we want to get the information in the Airtable base. So I'm going to run it once, but before I do that I must fill in the form again. So we're going to run it once. Now it's adding information to our Airtable base and it sent a mail. Did it do what we wanted? And we see we have Jeroen Schuivel, and it's only on the 6th row because I've run it a lot of times. So we're going to delete this, delete all selected leads, and we're going to see, did I get an email from Make or for myself? And as you see, we got an email. Dear Jeroen, thanks for wanting to know more about our services. So this is working. I get as customer, I get the mail we sent throughout Make. So we get the information from the Google form and we automatically add the lead to our Airtable, and we automatically send a mail to our email address. So this is working great. But now we want the information, email sent and follow up filled in. So if it's sent, I want this to be yes, and later on I want this also be sent and filled out. So I'm going back to make, and the last step for the first scenario is when we send an email, we want to update the record. The reason I choose to update the record and not create a record is because we already have a record now, because we already have this. So we want to update this, and that's the reason I choose for update record. So we're going to click on update record. I must change it to the right connection, so I'm going to use the last one we made, was this one. Now we're going to change the base and the table. So we click here. Now we see lead one example. Now we need to change the table because this was also a lead one example. And we're going to choose this one. And now we can choose which one we want to update. So we want to update this one. So I will type yes, because this is going to happen if we did form, create a record, send an email, and after that it's going to update a record, and the text I want to appear in the module from Airtable is yes. So I will close this one, and I will fill out the form and run the scenario again. And I will run it again and fill out the form, and it's working again. Now we will see what's happened in Airtable. So we're going to lead one example, and as you see, we have my name, we have the email, and the email sent, and I also get an email in my inbox with the same text as before. Dear Jeroen Schuivel, thanks for wanting to know more about our services or services. So this is part one of our scenario. And now we're going to save this, and we're going to save this by Control S on Windows, Command S on the Mac, or you can click on the save button. And when we click, we see the scenario was saved. It's also recommendable to save between updating the modules and when you're working on a scenario by holding Control S, Command S to save it a lot of times, because you can go back to previous versions here and you can pick the version you have. So that's the reason we save our modules. Okay, that's scenario one. Now we're going to start a new scenario and make, and that's scenario two. And with the second scenario, we do the same as we did before, because we download it, import the blueprint, choose file, save, and we have the scenario. And now we're doing the same as we did before with the email module. We choose the connection. We choose which folder we want to watch, because in this module we're going to watch the email. So if the customer replied to our first email with a reply, we don't have to send another email because we get a reaction. So this is the reason we set up this module. So I'm going to inbox, and we can do a lot of things, but I choose simple filter. I want to watch all my emails, and for example I'm going to search one result because we only want the latest result, and we're going to save this one. So and when we set up the first module, we're going to the next module, and this is get a rec. We want to know, is the mail sent? Is the mail sent? Then we want to reply with yes or no. So we're going to search for the record of the one with the in the column with the is the mail sent. So I'm going to this one. So we change the connection, and now we need to change the table, and this is lead one example. And now we need to search for our record ID. So we click on search, and we choose the display field. Now we need to know if the email is sent. So when the email is sent, we want to get a record. So is the email sent? Yes. Okay, now it's loading. And now we want a yes. We want to know that it's sent. And now we save this scenario. So we get a record. So we get, is the email sent? Yes. Or when it's not sent, we don't get anything. So when the email is sent, we want to set up a filter in a scenario because we want to send a follow-up mail or not. But we must choose, did we get a reaction or don't we get a reaction? So what we're going to do is we're going to label it with reply yes or no. And we're going to watch for the sender email address. We see it over here, recipient email address. And we need the email from the air table. And we're going to watch if it's equal to, and we're going for case insensitive. That's the only thing we do. We save this, and now this filter working, and it's choosing if we want to send a follow-up mail or not. So if the mail is sent, and let's run this once a week, so we send everything on Monday, Tuesday, so we can run this on Friday or another day. Now we want to send an email. We use the same Google connection, and we choose for email address for Airtable base. So we're going to search for email, and we choose email, and now we can give it the subject. For this example, I choose only for test, and the content is test. But you can say, we sent you an email, we didn't get a reaction. Did you have time to react to our last email? And you can give a lot of input to the email. But for this example, I only want to have it on test. And then save it. And then as last, we're going to update the record because we want to get a reaction if we send this email. And this is, we're going to click. We do the same as we did before. We're going to change to the right connection. So we're going to the right connection, and then we're going to change the base and the table. We're going to change this to lead one example. Now we need to change the table to lead one example. We change this. Now we need to change the record, and we did as we did before. So we must delete this one. Okay, we click on search, and now we're going again to our Airtable base, but at this moment we want to go to follow up because we want to update this module, because we want to update the record. So we choose the latest one. I thought it was this one, and now we want to follow up, and now we need to put the text in yes, because if there's follow up we want to yes, and this is save. And now we have our scenario. So we're going to watch if there's an email back, what it's going to do. So I will send an email back and then open the scenario again. So I'm back in the recording screen. I send myself an email back, and I'm going to see if it's working. So we replied, and now we wait for a client mail. And is it working or is it not working? And I think it's not working. Did we get a reply? Thanks, want to know. So I reacted. I think it's working apart, because did I get a reaction? Yes, I got a reaction. The text content is great video. I hope the people will save a lot of time with that automation. Okay, great. Is the Airtable record updated? Is there something changed? Yes, this was yes. So okay, yes. So, and now we get a reaction. I replied and my filter don't work. So I did something wrong. So I'm going to watch what I did. Because now it's sending, so the email address is comparing with the Airtable address, and then it's going through. So I did the opposite of what I need to do. So when it's equal to case insensitive, it must be when it's not equal to case sensitive. So that's the first part, and we also have an error over here, but for now we're going to fix first this part. So I will do the same again. I will send a reply on my message and see what's happening. So I send it again, and I'm going to watch what's happening now, because the filters must work and deny the message to go through. And now the filter is working, so this part is great. Now it's not going through. Now I'm going to do the same again and change the filter for the purpose of the example. So I change it to equal to case insensitive, so it will let my reply through to the next modules. And then I'm going to run the scenario again. Did I get follow-up mail? Yes, I get a follow-up mail. So this is working great, but there's something wrong with the scenario in the last part because we get an error. And I was thinking, what's the error? And I changed the record ID and other things, but the problem is in the Airtable. I select the wrong one. So I go back to Airtable and I select single line text over here. And what did I do here? I choose single select, so it can't end the text. So I must choose single line text and then it must be working. So I save this, going back to my make scenario, choose where to start. So we choose where to start. Select the first email. And I choose the reply I sent to myself. And now it's working. It's updated my scenario. And we see we have a follow-up. I choose the wrong record and changing everything and that kind of stuff. But we get yes. So this was the end of the scenario. I hope it's helpful for you. Go to the link below to my free community to learn about AI and AI automations. And in the reactions, you can find the link to my community to download this blueprint. Thank you for watching. I hope you save a lot of time and I see you the next time. Thank you.